Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Couple minutes until close. A lot popping off. Had to make some decisions here at close. Take profit on some things going into tomorrow. Get ready for Friday. Get ready for the weekend. We'll get into that at close. But everything at the end of close. We got small caps ramping into close, and the rest of indices taking profit in close. Right? Makes a lot of sense. We talk about it. For instance, the Qs, we expected them to come up into the level and then take profit from there, right? So everything is basically where we would expect it to be. Looks very good going into tomorrow. Super bullish, right? We're very bullish in the market. A little over 2% on the NASDAQ here today. Not taking too much off at the end of the day. The SPY taking a little bit more off. Again, value has been up a little bit more, so the number is just not as big. 1% on the S&P today. Closing very well here with 5 seconds left. And then the Dow, obviously continuing its move. Again, looks like a larger move down because it had a larger move to the upside. Again, a little bit more vertical here comparatively to just a curling over. So in terms of every single indice and every index out there, doing extremely well, right? Very well in the market. The big story today is, again, not just the average, it's the individual tickers that we trade, trading those big breakouts on tickers that have their own velocity. That's literally where we operate, right? We use these as benchmarks. Again, momentum on the value side. Even still, when tech is getting a little bit of its bouncing back factor, climbing through its technicals. Again, the biggest story is certainly through this angle. But again, the big story that I want to go through is these individual tickers that it takes one trade. It takes just one trade, and that's all you need. And there's some trades here that, again, even for some of you that just woke up 20 minutes ago, you would have been able to make trades that could actually make something. Or today, you woke up for the first time in a week. I don't know why, but you placed a trade at open and you would have done very well. If you look over here at the watch list, there are an absurd amount of tickers that did over 10% today. A little reminiscent of about a month ago, where every single day for 2 months, we had at least 25 tickers over 10% that we tracked. Mostly new breakouts, but that made it even more easier. But again, if you look through our list, it would have been very difficult. And I'm going to look at the profit section first here today before we go through some analysis. It would have been very hard to fuck today up, guys. I'm going to tell you, it's very hard to mess today up, just like it was, back in that time. Because the reality is that you could just buy anything, at least. As long as you bought something, then there's no problem. If you didn't buy anything, then you probably lost money by just not buying something, right? There's some big names over here. We've talked about the LX trade plenty of times. What did I say back here in February, the beginning? Every single day I said that you're not buying it. Now, first of all, we had this chart from back over here, and we traded it through this breakout. So first of all, we were trading it through from the start of the new year over here, and then we got a new breakout out of a double bottom. Again, we were already trading it, but a new projection. Trading it through all these levels, understanding supply, and we eventually had to get out of that position. Consolidated, growth market bounced back. What did we do? We were buying on support on last Friday. Whether you bought on Friday, whether you bought on Tuesday, yesterday, today, you had opportunities every single day. A trade like this is 23% on the underlying. That is a boatload of money to be made if you bet on direction and speed. All you had to bet was that it wasn't going to take a year for it to do 23% and you would have made some money. A trade like this. A trade like QFIN. This is a very, again, I talked about it yesterday, and I talked about it on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, today's Thursday. This is a very straightforward trade because we've made the same trade before. We made the same trade before, and it was made under simpler decisions here this time. Instead of having to make multiple trades, you only had to make one trade this time. So again, 20%, 5.5%, and now another 17% today without having to ever ask yourself a question of, do I need to exit this position right now? You could have exited today if you really wanted to, and I wouldn't even make fun of you. And I would always tell you to push your winnings. So again, a trade like that, straightforward. What about clean energy across the board? It doesn't really matter what you decided to use, whether it was something like intermediaries like Blink, intermediary like Plug, right? Those all work. We have things like amps, which we've been hot on through a lot of different phases in the market, so those work very well. Again, these all did very well continuing today, taking advantage of the demand that's coming into the NASDAQ and the growth side, and trading a sector that's also bullish overall that we put in a higher tier, right? So again, those are all there. Things like NEO, talked about NEO, once it breaks that level, I'll even be a buyer from there. I don't want to be a buyer down here. It would obviously be nice to, but we don't have the confidence, the ability to do it, even though it's tied with the market. We're looking to push this over into the weekend. A lot of these trades we're looking to really push into the weekend. SunPower, we did buy earlier, right? We bought this earlier. Why? Because, again, it's in a different phase comparatively. It's in a different phase. So there's a lot of charts out there that look good. Let's go into the profit section. Let me get a gauge of how you guys did here first. Let's see what we got. Ecto with a fat, lucky 7%. A great number. Hold on, give me a sec here. Ecto with 7%. Brian with a juicy 104. JWN small L, an Uber break even, and an Apple small W. Okay. We'll take that. PHC's comeback saved me, says Ecto. Matt with the plus 188. Chris with another big 6%. That's a big account. Mobsky, holy moly. We got a plus 11.4%. Green almost every position. Okay, green day. Let's see. He's got pushed QFIN, SYF, Red, BZH, Mara, RXN, THBR, and entered Nova, Neo, PGN. Those sounds like awesome fucking buys. Great pushes there. That sounds like quite a number for tomorrow. So good shit right there. C-Trader plus 530. Awesome number, buddy. Wiz with the 21% and 65% on the TNA call that he was asking about earlier. He pulled the trigger, did it. He realized his gains. Good job, Wiz. Spoon with another number. Seems like Spoon's had a positive day every single fucking day over the last month. 11.6%. Big thanks to Gliz and Don for NNDM and LX callouts. Great shit. And good job to Brian calling out NNDM for whatever reason. I wonder why. Wonder why. David with the plus 443. Awesome number there too, buddy. Alrighty. Let's take a look at some tickers. Let's take a look. I know we looked at some, but let's get through some of the sillier tickers here. There are some others out there. I know we've been talking about Squaring, PayPal. Those were trades from Friday. 4 jumped off the page today in reaction. Square broke through this trend line, really confirming this trade for me at least. I don't want to trade something if the direction doesn't continue, because now also my whole understanding of the velocity is messed up. So this breakout here is very important, and it's tied into also with this 4 trade. I think Brian mentioned it open as well. Obviously, this has been moving with the other payment providers. This broke out of its resistance here. Newer chart, right? It's a newer chart. There you go. You're getting confirmation. Now, when we were trading over here and I tracked this breakout, it came out of the trend. It's a lot easier to trade it once it's above this macro trend line, which you should see and learn from over here, that once it's above its trend line, you can enter that trade. There's not really any risk to enter above this macro trend line. So again, we took these trades on Friday. So I didn't specifically enter for it. The problem is that there's really no contracts. It's just not very much. So can't really trade this on the derivative as much as the others. But again, big move there. Apps again. These are one of those trades that just going to continue. So keep this in mind for tomorrow as well. What's going on there? Run. Mentioned this earlier. You got to take a trade like this. You got to understand how the trade has developed, where it's going, the level of volatility, the amount of momentum that can come through here. Again, we have growth coming back a bit, bouncing back. You don't want to just buy things that are bouncing back. You want things that are going to be good later on. Why is value going up? Because there's an idea of future projection of value in the future, not just right now. Right now, there's this whole sense of a bounce back. Tech is like 10%, 20% down in some areas. That's going to bounce back because why? The whole market's all-time high besides the NASDAQ. Every single index is all-time high besides the NASDAQ, right? So yeah, that's going to bounce back, but which ones are going to make it quicker? Which ones are going to be going past there later? Clean energy, things like clean energy. The question on semis today was answered. We'll get to that in a second. Fake Neo continues. We mentioned Fake Neo over here. Continues to go. There's these other tickers that stand out a little bit in terms of short-term bio plays. So short-term bio plays were definitely on. Where are the other ones? What I was thinking of. I thought I had at the top of the list. Maybe they took profit a little bit more, but I talked about the difference between short-term bio plays and like the big Anthem, United Health, Unum. Those are long-term trades. Those are we're gonna be in those for fucking a month at least, right? Those are a little different. Retail stores continued today. I posted the Barnes and Noble chart yesterday. A little bit difficult trade to go enter, but this still there's significance here in terms of being able to quickly get a breakout and also trade it after a breakout day. I know a lot of you have a hard time buying after a 13% gain and then go buy it the next day. You don't want to think about it if, oh, it gained that. It gained a lot of percent yesterday. How am I going to go buy that? Contracts are already up 100%. It doesn't really matter. It literally doesn't matter. And that's, again, where, especially if you're trading options, sometimes the options are worth less than $1 when they're first written, and then the next day they're now worth a couple dollars. So sometimes that will happen, and especially when it's coming towards an expiration date, like the March monthly expiration is coming up, so new contracts are being written for later months now, especially from like the 3-month standpoint. You got to be very careful with those. So again, right now is a great time to take advantage of not only the squeeze that's happening across the market, but some of these new breakout charts. Don't be so worried about don't be worried about some of those percent numbers or the dollar value. It's just the movement that matters, right? Okay, again, retail stores. CWH has been a really fun retail trade that we used to, it was a bit of a meme that we were trading back over here, swinging it back and forth, right? We got the breakout through here. What do we do in each of these? Learn from your past trades and learn from the trend that you were in before. How do you look at this through the lens of trading? This chart right here? You look at it as, okay, we had a breakout. We entered on a break. You took profit on the trend line. Why? We transition on trend lines. We transition at resistance. As soon as we hit our head on resistance, we take profit and look for the new entry. So how are you going to manage this? You took profit and you're looking for a re-entry. How would you re-enter this? If it broke back on top of the trend line, or if it was a pullback that was going to break through the trend line, you thought it was going to break through the trend line. So first of all, you took profit. If price tomorrow blasts through and breaks out, you're going to take that trade again. New contracts, maybe take advantage on a short term, maybe it's a longer term. It's going to depend on yourself. There's not a right or wrong answer. It's just, it'll be right or wrong depending on how you manage the trade. Or let's say it opens lower, pulls back a little bit, and let's say it bounces on this trend line. Okay, then now you're going to re-enter it there. Why do you do that? Because you want to realize this whole gain here while not losing all of it through here. And it allows you to get a better average by buying down here now and taking a new trade. So, because again, you don't get to decide how long. Look, it could be like this. Could take a whole month. Could take over a month for it to come back before it moves. You don't get to choose. You just react. And you play probability, which means as soon as it hits the trend line, you take profit and you wait for the next opportunity. So this was a great trade. Only takes one trade. I can guarantee you it made a bigger percent on this one than you guys did on some of those other trades. Why? Because it just takes one trade. It takes one trade, right? This is one of those trades that are very straightforward for our method, which is very hard to trade with any other sort of method. No one else is making the trade like that. There's probably multiple times that they scalped it. There's probably a factor to push this trade that's involved here, because it's like, well, if it's making this move, it's going to continue. There must be something fundamentally good about it. I don't fucking know. I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, a big thing going into tomorrow. Chinese tickers. Chinese companies. I already mentioned NIO. NIO's more towards the EV side, but I prefer it over Tesla, for instance, right this moment, because of the fact that it's a Chinese company. In China, it's growth oriented, but they do very well in terms of their economy as well. And so look at how our market got scared of our economy doing well. Our equity market literally gets scared that our economy was going to do well. That's actually what's happening in our equity market. China equity markets, they look at their economy, and if their economy is doing well, their equity market does well. Our market is so fucked up. It's like we're all just high on blow all day or something, and that's all that matters. Like, we do not care about normal people or about how the economy does in the equity market. We care about ourselves. That's it. We don't give a fuck about anyone else. And if they do well, then now that means less for us. We're greedy. We're greedy Americans in the equity market. So I prefer these over American companies for a lot of different reasons. And I don't mean it in that way. I mean it in the sense that these will do well if the Chinese economy is doing well based on numbers and everything. We're taking these over a lot of the other breakouts because this is less of a rebound and more of, I could feel that it's going to continue the move. And then if it's going to continue the move, that it's going to go further on a lot of the NASDAQ tickers. You're going to get a lot of back and forth and a lot of consolidating and shit like that, which these can just push through. They can push through the bullshit because it's not tied to anything, right? Keep that idea in mind tomorrow, because if you're not already in Chinese companies, any Chinese tickers, then tomorrow's a great day to be putting those on over the weekend. Things like Billy over the weekend. Why? Because this trend over here could happen at any moment. Why? Because we got the same thing over here. You had uptrend, and then you consolidate for a little while. This is a dirty consolidation over here. Sharp consolidation. Got a bit of a breakdown. Could be the start of something. We need more confirmation, though. This could be bad. This could be like Brian's bear flag that he looks for everywhere. I bet Brian's like, I bet this is a bear flag. He's going, this is a bear flag for sure. Some of you are looking at it like a bear flag. You don't know. There actually is no answer, right? There is no answer. You don't know until something happens. So tomorrow I'm going to be watching. I'm going to see what happens on the Hang Seng, what happens on Shanghai, Shenzhen, whatever else. India does well, maybe China does bad. We'll fucking see. I got no idea. We'll figure out tomorrow. I'm not going to look at it. Don't care. STC. Did you make this trade? I didn't even make this trade. It was already in my broker. My broker made the trade. I'm still in the trade. It hit the limit, it hit the level, and it makes the trade. So we'll see how this goes tomorrow. But this trade turns into pretty wild every single time it moves to the levels, right? And there's really not much to this trade. It's pretty brain dead. Watch this trade. This is also lines up with the DBX trade. What did you do with this trade here today? Well, there's a lot of different things you could have done. You entered over here. You got the whole break. You've been waiting for a time to make a decision. It looks like tomorrow is going to be your decision-making day, right? You got 4% today, started to come back a little bit at close. Tomorrow, you get to decide whether or not you're going to push this over the weekend or realize this whole gain, or better yet, transition. At open tomorrow, maybe it starts to take profit. You take profit, and then maybe by close, you can make a decision to go push it over the weekend for the possibilities of gapping up into here by next week, right? Certainly a possibility. These are things to think about, and again, I don't mean it on just one ticker or the ticker we're just looking at here. Any charts that are similar, use these ideas for those charts, right? You can take problems that you're solving on one chart, and then use that answer for another chart. They don't need to be. It doesn't need to be the exact same ticker, the exact same sector. There's sector convergence for sure, but a lot of the times you can use these ideas and convert them to other tickers out there. Now, there are things like Twitter. There are things like Zoom. There's these charts that we've been bullish on that we want to be involved in, but they're in this little bit of a zone over here. Again, another one of the Brian's bear flags. I would say this chart's bullish, so I wouldn't say it's a bear flag here. Doesn't mean it couldn't just break down, so we need more data. Tomorrow's going to be a big day for this. Why? Because this whole week's been fucking bullish. This whole week, we're in all-time highs. Tomorrow, we get to find out where everyone's marbles are. Because if we don't have a big green day tomorrow, then we're going to know really quick that this was an uptrend that's going to be hit by a bearish candle on the top of every single one of those, in which will mean we're no longer in all-time highs. So we're going to know from the open. You're going to know from the open, but you need to be prepared for every single scenario. Why? Because some of you still have not entered positions. Some of you are still dicking around, not doing anything. Some of you need to enter positions, and tomorrow might be your last chance to. And by last chance, I mean you will have to wait a few days. You might need to wait a few days next week, because Monday could be a take profit day after a gap up, right? So if we push into the weekend, gap up Monday, and then it starts to take profit, Like even just looking at Twitter here, just to use as example, let's say tomorrow closes right where the price is here, and then gaps up Monday and then takes profit through. Well, you need to be in a position to realize that gain. There's going to be plenty that happen. Okay. Chart like GoPro. GoPro has nothing to do with anything in the fucking market. Yes, there's demand-oriented things. Yes, it's getting squeezed by a market-based gamma squeeze. Everything's getting squeezed on the gamma by the options, right? What are you doing here? Tomorrow, you're waiting to see if this trend line is going to get hit somewhere in the 1030 somewhere zone to take profit, or maybe you're going to be able to push this. Maybe you can push this trade. We entered at $8. Maybe we can push this into the weekend. I highly doubt it, and I wouldn't really want to put the risk on. There's really no reason when you can just take profit when everyone else is coming in. You're going to need to make this decision. You need to figure out if you have other charts that look like this as well, that you know are getting squeezed. You know they're getting squeezed into the end of the week, maybe even by weekly contracts. You need to be ready to get out of these positions tomorrow, and you need to know what to do with that money, because the worst thing, it's not the worst thing, but there's going to be a lot of taking profit probably, and you need to figure out what the hell you're going to do with that money. And if you don't know, you know what you're going to do is, if you don't have a plan on what to do with that cash that you're about to have, you're going to make really dumb decisions. Why? Because I do it all the fucking time, where I'll take profit on something and now I have a whole bunch of capital. I don't have a plan for the cash and I go buy really dumb shit. That happens. That happens. You don't want to be that person, and you don't want to lose all the money. Okay. Zoom, listen, here's my theory, and here's what I'm going to say. And this is going to sound a little investy or something, like Benjamin Graham investing kind of style. This chart, you can just ask yourself one question. Is this going to be higher in like a month or two? I would say yes. So you're saying I can just buy it for 50% discount from its high? Do you think it's going to go past the high? I would say so at some point. I don't know the speed at which it would do that, but I could probably tell you in terms of direction that it's going to go higher and probably go to all-time high eventually. So with that information, yeah, I'll just take the 50% discount. So obviously put this position on. We'll see where it goes. I have really long-term on there, not playing the short-term game. Because again, a little bit too much volatility. But I would say that Zoom, there's a lot of reasons why it should go higher. It's getting the market demand, helping it. That's it. That's my theory on Zoom. Maybe it gets added to the S&P. We will see. Maybe that helps it get bought. Okay. COVID winners. Peloton, Etsy. These are trades that are coming out of consolidations, breaking as well. That could certainly be very good weekend trades as well. From what we've seen, what Etsy did, I think there's certainly a lot of good prospects for something like this. I think there's a lot of chances for this that you get again, if it's a buy day tomorrow, then charts like this will fucking explode. This is where demand goes very quickly, right? So again, I want you to think about retail safe haven charts, or things, just what's in the name, what's in a name sort of charts where, okay, we're going demand heavy. I'm going to buy DraftKings. I'm going to buy Penn. These kind of things in relation, right? So again, think about these trades. We just did this on Friday, but look where we fucking bought it. Look where we bought it, right? We're up, what? Over 30% on the underlying on this chart. So what do we want to do here? I want to get the fuck out of this position, or I want this to just go to 80. Go to 80. I don't get to make that decision right now. Tomorrow we're going to find out. These are the kind of charts I want to be a part of, though. These are the kind of ones I want to be a part of. Now, value, we continue with value. Value continues to push. There's a billion reasons why you should continue to push value. The charts that continue to trend up. You don't need to buy something that's been down 20% in the last month. You do not need to tonight go searching through charts that are down 20% from their high, when there's charts that continue to trend up and will continue to get you paid, and there's no risk behind it. There's no, oh, well, I hope I'm not buying at the top. That's ridiculous. So please be careful with that tonight, because some of you are going to do that and come in with like silly tickers and everything else. That's ridiculous. Aerospace and defense continues as a sector. Very important. Again, we continue to see the momentum tomorrow. So you guys know the tickers there. I want to finish off with travel. So again, travel as a part of value continues to do very well. Again, these are trending up and they continue to push towards the upside. Casinos, same thing, continue to get pushed to the upside. Win really pushed through, came back down. Does that mean that it's no longer good? Because wow, there was so much selling on Win today. It's up 2.5%, and it pushed through the upside. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's what you want to see, right? So again, don't get fooled by some of these things. Even the death boats continue to push the upside. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. The trend line might have changed based on some different moves that happened. But again, these are very good charts still to be a part of. Some of these better than others. For opportunities for weekend trades, we'll see. It's up to you guys what you want to do. Almost every single situation, I'm pushing everything. So I'm not making decisions like, oh, it's the weekend, I need to get out of the trade. That's not what I do. That's not what I do. Maybe with the extra cash, I'm going to put new weekend trades on, but that doesn't affect my other decisions. Some of you don't have the capital to be putting a new position on. You have to literally exit a position. It's like our Cosa Nostra account. You have to literally exit the IWM position to enter a new position tomorrow, and that's what you guys are apparently planning on doing. Terrible polling, by the way, today, guys. Figure that out. And, get me a trade by... You don't need to make a trade every day, but if you're going to make a trade tomorrow, make sure we can understand what the fuck it is you're saying in the poll. If you're actually saying, are we buying it now, or when are we talking about? I got you guys out of that position at a pretty good price, so I mean I can fool around with it, but yeah, figure that out for tomorrow. Oh yeah, a couple other things like Lyft and Uber. Lyft and Uber are obviously big watches. We're in these positions, but this doesn't mean you can't, if you're not in a position, put it on for the weekend or something, or you couldn't have bought it today. Like there's no reason why you can't make these trades today, and there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to make them tomorrow either. So again, everything's green. Everything is a possibility. You could make a story for every single chart. You could ask me any ticker and I'll make you a fucking story and convince you. I promise you. Why? Because everything's fucking green. There's nothing I couldn't convince myself to make a trade for. So again, you need to pick something that you're going to be able to trade yourself and manage, right? There's just different kind of trades out there. I even said that I'd trade Facebook through here, right? From open today, I said I would take this fucking trade over the other mega caps. They're all moving. If you had to put a gun to my head and tell me to choose a mega cap, I would have literally said Facebook today. That's what I said. Why? Because the other mega caps suck. They literally suck. So, besides Google, but no one's buying options on Google. I mean, maybe it absolutely explodes tomorrow. Who knows? But we need more information. Amazon needs to break levels first. It's garbage. Microsoft sitting on a trend line, moving the speed of, I don't know. It's moving slower than Berkshire Hathaway, so it can't be a good sign. So again, if my value play is moving faster than growth, then probably not going to convince me to get in there. So again, there are so many tickers. Again, what I would do is maybe go look at the list. I would specifically be looking at recent breakouts. You know the sectors. Don't get fucking caught trying to buy. Like, if you only have a certain amount of, we all only have a certain amount of money. Don't get caught trying to buy the beat up tech tickers still. And I know that today makes it look good again. But again, it's going to be very easy. It's going to be very easy to get fucked again on this trade. Because this is the average. If you want to go trade the average, then you would be fine. We don't like to trade the average though. We want to get alpha in the market. I would say it's not very safe to go trade any of those other options. The only thing I said was Facebook was possible. I think there's things like Twitter. You can get away with things like that. And obviously the other tech companies I'm talking about have nothing to do with what we're talking about with sort of this average here and the usual suspects, right? Don't get caught trying to buy this shit that's because it's down 20%. It looks good. That does not make something look good, right? MSOS on support, says Brian, tomorrow. Absolutely. Absolutely possible. How much did he get today? What's to say? 1 million today? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, okay, first of all, let's be honest. Pot stocks we bought on Friday. We bought pot stocks on Friday, and almost every single day has offered some sort of entry. Like I'm going to use the GRWG position again because it's a little bit easier because it's not fully retail fucked out of its mind. All of these charts bounced, like quite literally bounced on Friday on support. So again, when we look through these, this is bearish. I don't like that. I like to buy at the bottom end of a range on support. Now, these all had support. Watch as we look through these pot stocks. So MSOS is a ETF for it. Here's this. So when we look at the individuals, CGC, the other big boy, I don't know where the level went, but anyway, support down here. MJ, the other ETF we look at, the alternative one, support down here. Again, everything bounced on Friday, has been moving. This looks good. This shit looks good. Which one do we want? If you had to make me choose between MSOS or MJ here as an ETF, I would choose this one. Why? Because I want the leader. You want to trade the leader. If you're going to make a trade, then trade the leader. So I would say this is better. But again, when was the trade better? It was earlier. So now you need to think about where you're buying in the move. So maybe now that it's buying later, you want to maybe buy, since it's been a week already, maybe you buy the one that is a bit further behind. It's again going to come down to how you're going to manage that trade. Are you going to be out of it on Monday? If you're going to be out of it on Monday, then make the riskier play. Get the one that's going to give the offer the most reward. Why? Because you don't get to fucking sell over the weekend. You don't get to do anything over the weekend. So it doesn't matter. Just put the trade on over the weekend. Whichever one's going to have a higher exponential based on the contracts you're picking up, then pick that one because you don't get to fuck it up over the weekend, right? But again, pot stocks, same thing with solar and all these things. What changed? Nothing changed. They got pulled down by an average. Demand got removed out of the equation, right? These are all going to go back to their highs. We just don't know when. We don't know when, and so that becomes a little difficult on options. You don't want to be buying June monthlies on this shit. That would be ridiculous. I mean, you can, but are you really going to stay in the position for a couple months? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt anyone here is going to buy something and stay in it past a week. So don't trade long term. That's just, no one here is going to do that. None of you here buy anything, hold it more than a week or two. And it's just the reality. And so it's not a weakness or something, but you need to trade according to that. So don't buy long term if you're not going to do it. How many times do you enter something and immediately exit it, right? So take advantage of that gain in that moment, right? And that's really what you should be doing. And again, the gains that I've been getting right recently have all been extremely short term, very short term, been very short term. That's just the reality. That's just the market we're in, right? My last point in terms of sector is semis. Now, I picked up the UMC and TSM position here pretty early in the day in the open. Reasoning, I said it again during the stream, but just to pick it back up, I talk about solar. It's a semiconductor itself. They're very related in terms of that supply chain itself. So they get affected by a lot of the same things. They both got dragged down by the broader equity market, the growth market. Pull the trigger, pushing it over the weekend. UMC and TSM specifically, possibly NVIDIA can get picked up tomorrow because of its volatility. But again, it needed to get back into its range. It closed below the level that I would want it to. So it'll need to be tomorrow on the support to get this trade. Certainly possible because again, sector convergence, everything else. What is that going to require? It's going to require the NASDAQ and those big names to make moves tomorrow. Right now, Apple is dog shit, wrapped in cat shit. Nothing good over here. This has to move. This will need to move if tech is going to do well tomorrow. So again, the big names have to do something tomorrow. Otherwise, they're all going to take profit, and who knows what happens. No one knows what would happen if these don't continue, because then all of this is a sham. It's all a sham, just like over here was a sham. And again, this kind of comes back to ARK, and I'm going to end it with Tesla. If these don't continue tomorrow, they're going to take profit, and it's really hard to tell what's going to happen in your position, which is why I haven't touched this yet. I shorted it. Again, from this whole move, we shorted Tesla, right? When we shorted Tesla from this candle up here, right? Think about the amount of percent this was. This came down 36% from that point that we looked to start shorting. You're just got to the halfway point here. I'm going to need to see a little bit more on something like this for me to get there, because again, it's too much volatility. And guess what? This is not the trend. Trends do not look vertical. Almost, what's that, 80 degrees? Yeah, I've never heard of an 80-degree trend line before. So that's not going to be it. So tomorrow we really get to find out how much risk are you willing to push those, or is it a juke, right? Sticking with the Dow nightly news play. Gonna make $1 million on that. Can't wait. I'll see you guys in the morning. I got a bunch of shit coming for you tonight. So enjoy your night, your morning, your evening, wherever you are. It was a lot of fun today. Everything was green, so I know everyone's happy, and so I'm not gonna give anyone criticism. Just pull the trigger, baby. See you in the morning, guys. Enjoy.